What is up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and welcome to the channel, and today I am going to be talking to you guys about 5 mistakes that I think that everybody needs to try to avoid during this 2020 recession. I will talk about what these mistakes are, how to avoid these mistakes, and what good habits you can implement instead so that once this is all said and done, you will be in the most advantageous position as possible. So let's get started. So the first mistake is not hitting that YouTube like button and subscribe button for the algorithm, and the way that you avoid this mistake is by simply hitting that like button and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. So if you guys could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, in all seriousness, one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people do, specifically younger people, is not cutting their expenses during a recession. And maybe these people aren't cutting their expenses because they haven't been laid off. Maybe they aren't cutting it because they just received their $1,200 stimulus check. Maybe they don't cut their expenses because they simply don't know how to. But whatever the case is, I see so many people spending money like they were 6 months to a year ago. And the fact of the matter is that in times of recession, whether or not you are directly affected by it at this time, it is important for you to be aware of the economic climate and plan accordingly. And with that, there is often a need to cut expenses in the process. You see, my worry whenever people don't cut their expenses during a recession is that if these same people end up getting let go, if they have an unexpected expense come up, if they end up losing a stream of income, then they are going to be in a really bad position because they aren't prepared to adapt to the change in income and this change in revenue stream. So the way that you can avoid making this mistake is by simply creating some sort of budget and cutting out unnecessary expenses. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a written out budget that you follow to a T, but it is important to have an idea of where your money is going, where your money is coming in, and where those expenses lie that you can easily cut out. The thing that's so frustrating about this mistake is that it is such an avoidable one. All you have to do is have an understanding of where your money is going and what you're spending your money on. And you can use tools like You Need a Budget or Mint.com in order to figure this out. Once you're able to see where your money is going, you can figure out what unnecessary expenses can be cut out. And you can cut those out easily if need be. Remember, just because you aren't affected by the economic crisis yet does not mean that you won't be in the future, and it's time to be prepared for that. The next mistake that I see so many people make, and it is on the same kind of thought process with money, is people who feel as though an economic crisis is the time for them to start to learn how to invest. It's that time to put their life savings into the stock market, or it's their time to become a day trader. It is so important during times of uncertainty, during dark times, during an economic crisis, to be smart about where you put your money, how you invest your money, and where you spend your money. And I am seeing an alarmingly high amount of people who have decided that this is the time for them to get into day trading, or this is the time for them to put their life savings in the stock market. And I mean that with no exaggeration. I know of multiple people that have pulled their life savings out of their high interest savings account and have put it into the stock market. 100%. They have maxed out 100%. And it is all now in the market. And they do this because they think that they can make 200, 300, 400% ROI on these investments. And the fact of the matter is, yes, you possibly could, depending on where you put your money. But the reality of the situation is that you could also lose all of that money or a huge percentage of it. And it is incredibly risky for you to take any significant amount of money and put it into the market right now, especially if you've never done it before. And the same goes for day trading. Day trading is something that I never recommend. I don't like day trading. I think it's gambling. I do not think it's a good idea any time of year, let alone when there is extreme volatility in the market. Right now in the stock market, we are seeing a whole lot of ups and a whole lot of downs, and with that, people feel like they can time the market, jump in when it's low, and get out when it's high. And in theory, that sounds really, really easy. But the fact of the matter is that it is not that easy, or else there would be so many more millionaires and billionaires out there than there currently is. Now, I'm not dogging on investors, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't put your money into the stock market, but what I am saying is that you need to be smart about how you do it. In fact, just a couple of days ago, I created a video about where I'm putting my money in the stock market during this recession. So I'm certainly not saying that you shouldn't invest, but be smart about it. Understand what you're doing, understand where you're putting your money, And don't put in more than you can afford to lose, meaning do not, under any circumstances, put your life savings into the stock market. That is the biggest, in my opinion, mistake that somebody could make during a recession. The next mistake is on the topic of jobs and income streams, and that is the mistake of falling for get-rich-quick schemes or falling for some sort of pyramid scheme in order to make some extra money. You see, what I mean by this is that so often in times of economic recession, people are looking for another outlet to make money, whether that be Uber, DoorDash, going and doing Instacart, doing freelancing, things like that. People are desperate to search for extra streams of income. And oftentimes, these same people want to find extra income streams rather quickly. And so they turn to get-rich-quick schemes, thinking that they are a legit way to make money. Now, get-rich-quick schemes are much more complicated than they used to be. And so often these schemes are really well disguised as legitimate business opportunities. There's this kind of whole joke around the internet that I often see about get-rich-quick schemes and things like Herbalife or essential oils or supplements or all of that other crap. And so often the victims of these businesses are looked at as gullible or stupid or like they've made this big mistake. And I understand that it's probably really easy to fall for one of these schemes because on the surface it seems extremely legitimate. And whenever you're desperate and you're looking for a way out, anything sounds appealing. So I want all of my viewers and anybody who watches this video to be on high alert for get-rich-quick schemes. If something seems too good to be true, then it probably is. And the fact is that it's really hard to make money. It's even harder to make money during a recession, and it's even harder to make money quickly during a recession. So avoid the mistake of falling for these pyramid schemes or these get-rich-quick schemes and look for legitimate ways to make some side income. Once the shelter-in-place orders are lifted, you can turn to services like Uber, DoorDash, Lyft. And even while the shelter-in-place orders are still in place, you could turn to websites like Fiverr, Freelancer, or Upwork and get some extra income on the side. But whatever you do, if you get a message from one of your friends on Facebook asking you if you'd be interested in joining their business, if you get approached by somebody to venture with them but you have to buy $1,500 worth of supplements or tights or essential oils before you can get started, I want you to turn around and I want you to run in the exact opposite direction and never look back. It's important to know that there are real legitimate ways to make money online, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home without a degree, without experience. But these get-rich-quick schemes are not the way to do it. So avoid them and avoid this mistake altogether. The fourth mistake that many people make during a recession is not having a plan. It's so important to have a plan with anything, but even more so, it's incredibly important during difficult times. Because whenever times are difficult, desperation starts to hit, and you start trying to go from plan B to plan C to plan D, all the way down to plan Z. But the thing is that if you don't have a plan, it is very easy to jump from idea to idea without making any progress. So before you do anything, before you take any of the advice that I've laid out in this video, before you take anybody else's advice, before you start making any sort of steps, start developing a plan on how you're going to see this recession through. Are you going to start doing side hustles? Are you going to cut expenses? If so, what are they going to be? Are you going to get a roommate? Are you going to start selling items on the side? What is your recession plan? Plans are not only a good way to help keep you on track long term, but it's also a good way to keep your spirits up and to make sure that you're going in the right direction. And it's also important to develop this plan before things get bad. You don't want to develop a plan whenever you're in a mode of desperation. You don't want to develop a plan if you're over emotional, if you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you're sad. You want to make sure that you have a well thought out, a well-constructed plan that you developed whenever you're in the right state of mind. That way, whenever things start to get bad, whenever you're sad, whenever you're depressed, whenever you're down, you can turn to that plan and you can know whether or not you are heading in the right direction. I accredit to-do lists and plans and goal settings to a huge reason why I've gotten to where I've gotten in life. And if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you develop a recession plan for you, your family, and your career. And the last mistake that I see so many people make, including myself, is putting your happiness and your health as second priority. It sounds cheesy and it sounds cliche, but it is 100% true. It is so easy to put your health and your happiness on the back burner whenever things get tough. But the fact is that if things are hard and you have to dig your way out of a hole, it is even harder to do that if you are one, unhealthy, or if you are two, unhappy. So during times like what we're currently going through, where there are so many people who are struggling with their health, there are even more people probably struggling with their mental health, it is important for you to do what you need to do in order to stay happy and to stay healthy. And if that means sleeping in during the week, then do it. If that means going out for a run every day, then do it. If that means eating a candy bar once every couple of days, then do it. Do whatever you have to do to remain happy and to remain healthy. And while you're doing that, stop comparing yourself to other people's progress. Whenever the world is going through a traumatic time, like what we're currently going through, that is not the time to start throwing comparisons out there. It's not the time to start comparing your success and your progress by somebody else's ruler, and it is not the time to put your health and your happiness on the back burner. Recessions end. They do. They don't last forever, and that is a proven fact. And pandemics are the same way. And with what we are currently going through, it's a matter of creating our new normal, but putting ourselves in a position so that once this is over with, we can return back to at least as normal as possible of a life as we can. And we can't do that if we're not here, and we can't do that if we're depressed, and we can't do that if we don't put ourselves as a priority. So do not make the mistake that I've made countless times, that I'm sure you've made countless times, and that millions of people all over the world continue to make. Do not make your health and your happiness a secondary priority, because at the end of the day, those two things are priority number one, no exceptions. Now, does that mean that you can never be unhappy and you can never be unhealthy? No, absolutely not. I mean, we all have days of sadness. We all sometimes feel depressed. We all sometimes feel down. We all sometimes feel sick, and that's normal. But part of being a happy and healthy human being is accepting the fact that those things are normal. So put your happiness first, put your health first, and then put all of these other things on your list of mistakes to avoid during not only a pandemic, not only COVID-19, not only the 2020 recession, but in hard times in general. Because if you follow these tips that I've outlined, if you avoid the mistakes that I've talked on in this video, then you will be a happier and healthier human being. And hopefully at the end of the day, we can all exit this recession being stronger, better, and in a more advantageous position than we were before. So guys, I appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you liked it, then make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps my channel, it helps my channel grow, and it makes my day seeing that I have a new subscriber. But I will see you guys in the next video.